Welcome to Japan 2025. And why does that sound like a sci-fi title? I have no idea. But skipping over the part where we actually got to Montreal, we flew from Montreal to Narita International Airport. And once there, we were welcomed by this lovely sign and about 2 hours, or at least it felt like 2 hours, in customs so we could clear, you know, permission to land, I guess. And then from there, we hiked it all the way up to Ueno, still in Tokyo, but this is Ueno. And it was about just an hour, and our hotel was near enough to the train station that we could just walk it, which, trust me, when you have luggage, that is a very important thing, that your walk from the train station to the hotel is not mind-bogglingly long. Once at the hotel, we freshened up and decided to head out for, well, a night out. Dinner and some drinks. After a couple of beers, it was time to attempt to sleep. Even though I didn't share this before, as soon as we landed, I wasted no time in spotting some nice, delicious treats. This is a cheese souffle cake, and I absolutely adore this divine pastry, okay? It's just perfect with a cup of tea. Light, tangy, fluffy. Good morning. I thought I would actually pick up the camera because I realized we haven't had a conversation. We made it to Japan, as you saw. This is our first full day in Japan. We arrived yesterday was the 15th, so we arrived at around 2:30 p.m. But we made it out of the airport at around 4 p.m. Listen, immigration was really long line. And this morning, as you saw, I had my cup of tea, and now we are headed out for breakfast and then later for the Wisteria Park. So I will definitely be taking very good footage, hopefully, of Wisteria Park. Nothing much else to report. I'll give you an update on my knitting when we get to Wisteria Park, just so it can be hashtag aesthetic. I know I said I would update you on my knitting when we got to the flower park, but truly, waiting for a train just seems to be the perfect time to actually do some knitting. While I kept calling this Wisteria Park, the actual name is Ashikaga Flower Park. It is way more than just wisteria. We have beautiful flowers for sale. These hydrangea blooms, I wish I could have brought some home. And of course, we had some beautiful Shiba plushies, all in the color of the wisteria. Luckily, Ashikaga Flower Park had some beautiful blooms other than the advertised wisteria groves because they were already dry. This was the one lonely branch that still had some wisteria blooms. We're a little bit short on footage today because I made a mistake on a train and I got on a one that would take longer to get to where I was going, so I panicked. We stepped off the train. Long story short, it took us about 4 hours to get back to the hotel. So we've really lost the whole day because it's now like 6:30 p.m. But I am just in time to make it to Yuzuzawa, which is a department craft store, and hopefully tomorrow we get to explore some more yarn stores. On the way back from Yuzuzawa, I stopped at a donki and I found my new favorite beverage. This says a Hokkaido Chuhai. It is strawberry, milk, and alcohol, and it might sound gross, but it is absolutely delicious. Okay, that's a lot better than I expected. Like, this is really good. I would drink this. Good night. Good morning. You are perched rather precariously on top of a steam deck, a box of tissues, and moisturizing cream. Yeah, not a very good vlogger for getting my tripod, but to be honest, traveling with a tripod just doesn't seem like a good thing to do. Anyway, this morning we've had the full Japan experience. We went to breakfast to Yoshinoya, and it's raining, so we purchased an umbrella. It was, and when we entered the restaurant, we left it in the umbrella stand. It was the only umbrella there, and yet when we came out of the restaurant, 'twas gone. So, you know, label your umbrellas just like you were in kindergarten. And now we are headed to Tapashi, which is known as Kitchen Street, and I'll take you along on my cell phone because since it is raining, I don't actually want to carry my big camera, which you are currently using. So yeah, let's head out for a very rainy, touristy day. Tapashi is a treasure trove for a kitchen hoarding gremlin like me. They had so many different styles of plates for every single occasion. They had so many teapots. It was just beautiful, beautiful. And there's a whole street dedicated to all this lovely kitchen stuff, but we actually didn't explore all the street because it was pouring, and when I do mean pouring down with the rain, one of those downpours where the umbrella is really just you know, I don't even know what it's for because your face is getting wet, your hair is getting wet. It was just one of those days. So after digging for some treasures, we went to eat to a cafe that had a line. I think we waited 20 minutes in line, and it was to eat tamago sando, which is an egg sandwich. And of course, you had to purchase a pot of tea because it was cold and raining. And I had to, of course, have some sweets. And let me tell you, this blueberry cream tart that I'm about to show right here was life-changing. I really mean that. It was way worth the 20-minute wait. Still only May 18th, if you're wondering. We had breakfast at a nearby coffee chain, then we headed out to Asakusa and Asakusabachi for my first yarn store visit. Also, we stumbled upon a festival. My first proper yarn store visit was Itto Rico. Itto Rico is a
beautiful, beautiful yarn store. They take the remnants of the fashion industry and they turn it into yarn. So none of these yarns were plied. They are just strands of yarn held together to create these blends. And I had so much fun just studying all of these fibers. And Edison picked out some yarn for a pair of socks, which I should actually start so he doesn't have to wait 1 or 2 years for them. Look at the scrunchie. Oh, they had so many gorgeous samples in the stores. Also, please notice this is umbrella number 2, and we will have lost it by the end of this day, May 18th. So we're already on 2 umbrella counts and 2 lost. After lunch, we headed to Lost, which is a bar in Shibuya owned by YouTuber Chris Broad, who has the or runs the Abroad in Japan channel. It is hidden behind this gacha machine, and this is about all that I filmed because filming inside the bar is not allowed anymore. But it was really a place to just relax and vibe. All right, I know this map looks big, but we're still in Tokyo. We're just going from Ueno all the way to Chinjuku. And I don't actually remember what part of Shinjuku we stayed in. It wasn't like the Shinjuku part. It was a little bit outside. But no matter, we were still near great food.
Good morning. I think the last time I picked up the camera to actually talk to you, we were still in Ueno and we had just got back from the rainiest breakfast ever. Yesterday I shared a little bit of footage on what we did, which was go to a yarn store in Asakusa. It was Itto Rico. And it was beautiful to be there. Just they had so many interesting yarn blends. Sorry, I'm not making much eye contact because I'd left my sock in the middle of a row. Anyway, we are now in Shinjuku. I don't think I have any yarny plans today, as in visit yarn stores, but we do have a reservation to try Michelin star tamago kake gohan, which is rice with raw egg and toppings that you just like whisk and get it very frothy but puffy. It's hard to explain. Just look it up. I'll write the name on the screen so you can look that up yourself. But yeah, no really huge plans today, I think, except that. I will share with you if I can, because some places like the Lost Bar that we went to yesterday, you can't film inside anymore, which is completely understandable. You know, people don't really like to come out in other people's videos, or you're trying to respect privacy, so completely understandable that you can't film everywhere you go. But that does mean that some of the really cool stuff that we've seen, I can't show you, which does make me a little bit sad. Alright. Enough waffling, I'm just gonna keep knitting until it's time to leave.
After breakfast, we headed out to Omotesando. Edison wanted to visit Cafe Mamella, and I don't drink coffee, but I did find a delicious donut. Then we headed back to Chinjuku, where I had a little semi freak out because Okadaya seemed to be closed, but no, it had just moved to the building next door. Unfortunately, they didn't really have what I was looking for. I was hoping to buy a specific kit, So I didn't really do any yarny purchases here, even though the amount of yarn I think has increased exponentially since they moved to this new location. Hey, Edison. Oh, the samples, and wouldn't you know it, here is this sweater, the sample for the sweater, whose pattern I bought last year and I haven't worked up yet. But it's still beautiful, so we can admire it here. After a day of shopping, it's only logical that we go get a drink, and this time we chose to go to Tez. This is a bar where they have fresh fruit for you to pick from, and they make you a cocktail inspired by that fruit. For my first drink, I chose something coconut inspired, and they served it in a coconut, which I greatly appreciated because having a drink from a coconut, you have a snack later on, even though I think I was judged for eating the coconut. After a very fruity evening, we make our way to the Shinkansen once again because we are headed from Chinjuku in Tokyo to Kyoto. Trains, of course, provide excellent knitting opportunity, but more than that, trains in Japan allow you to have snacks and alcohol on board, which, of course, you've either bought yourself or you bought from the cart. The amount of knitting I got done before I decided it was time to eat my snackies. So, of course, we have this steamed cheesecake and some beer because why not? Once arriving to Kyoto Station and leaving our luggage at the Via Inn near Kyoto Station, we headed out to explore a part of Kyoto that we'd never really seen in search of this lunch spot for soba noodles. This is Sariyotesen, a super soothing soba noodle stop. Like, honestly, this interior is just meant for you to relax and enjoy a good meal in great company. After completing the meal, which I totally did not take a video of, we decided to explore a little bit more of the area, and we found this little shop slash museum that was showing the process of how incense is made. And they also had like some scent stations so that you could smell the different types of bases for incense. Tired from all the walking in the hot, hot sun, we decided to have some okonomiyaki for dinner and then just settle into the hotel because tomorrow we have a full day. On May 21st, we started our pack day at Uji in the Nintendo Museum, which, by the way, has a large amount of security, and you can't really take a lot of pictures of their exhibits, but you can take videos or pictures of their what I'm calling event space, where you have these huge remote controls that you can play in. Also, they have a beautiful yard area, which is the perfect place to sit and knit after you have a spot of lunch at their cafe. And since you can enter the museum as many times as you want, I actually recommend that you do the event space before you do the museum because the event space fills up really fast. After we completed our day in Uji, we went back to Kyoto for a tea room experience. This is Tea Room Sabi, and we arrived a little bit early for our reservation because, yes, you have to make reservations to enjoy the tea room experience. So we decided to walk around the old-fashioned Kyoto to see what we would find. And don't you just love our matching shirts? Because I do. Back at Tea Room Sabi, we were the first to arrive for our time slot, so it gave us a little time to appreciate the atmosphere. We were also greeted with some iced tea, which was very welcome because it was a hot day. Now, Tea Room Sabi is, as I said, a tea room experience where you get to try delicious seasonal treats that are paired with either tea or some alcoholic pairing. You can also choose from you can also choose the mocktail option. And let me tell you, it is truly a tea experience. The amount of care that the server takes to actually pour the tea and the whole process, it just made me fall in love with tea again. Even if you're just using a tea bag, taking those 5 seconds to really be in tune with warming up your teapot or warming up your teacup and then just dunking your tea bag in, it's so soothing. I didn't film the whole process, and I also didn't take a detailed description of the menu items provided. And yeah, I went back to the website. It really is seasonal. They already changed it. Anyway, this drink that you're seeing here is a tea-based cocktail, and the alcohol that goes with it is Hendrick's Gin. This is the stunningly beautiful cocktail, and it was paired with like an almond cream base topped with a golden kiwi on top, as well as red peppercorns. And my mind was blown. This dessert was just truly delicious. Edison, what did you think?
It was life changing.
It was so good. Highly recommend.
After the tea room experience, we headed towards Glanta, where we had made reservations to make our own rings. This was our 6-year anniversary, and Edison treated us to some additional wedding bands. Making rings is hard work, so we headed to our favorite gin joint in all the world, Kenobi. After our gin joint, we said goodbye to Kyoto and made our way to Umeda in Osaka. Right after we got off from the train and had a spot of food, I spotted a food hall, all with desserts. And of course, we indulged because if there is one important thing that you learned from this video, is the word betsubara. It's on the screen right now. That word means a separate stomach for desserts, and I've been a firm believer of that my entire life. So please enjoy this montage of Edison and I eating our weight in sweet treats that weren't too sweet, by the way, and they were delicious. This one is a grapefruit cream donut. It was delicious.
Is that peach with cheese? A grapefruit? No? Or,
The next day, we found ourselves at a lover's shrine. It was a green spot in the middle of just a whole bunch of tall buildings. The greenery is fake for the most part, but it was still lovely. After the shrine, we made our way to the train station where one of my favorite, this is our second time visiting it, pastry shops is. It is Grenier, where you get a milfeu that is just filled with custard and it's absolutely divine. Do keep in mind they opened at exactly 10 a.m. So luckily we had some beautiful art displays to enjoy. These were mostly embroidery and it was absolutely beautiful. At 10:10, we were ready to sit down and enjoy our delicious pastry while protecting it from some very overzealous pigeons. I kid you not, these pigeons would have stolen the pastry right out of your hands. And because one pastry wasn't enough, we headed back to that food hall that I shared a little bit earlier in the video, and we stocked up on some more second stomach goodies. After more Betsubara adventures, I searched out a yarn store. This is Teoria, a yarn store that sells their own yarn. It has a wide variety of fibers. We had a lot of wool, we had cottons, we had cotton acrylics, we had linens, and we also had some, I believe it is said Rami. It is Ramie, and it is a fiber that I believe is native to Japan. The process of making it is labor intensive, but I do believe it was a popular choice of fabrics for the Japanese summers long, long, long ago. For dinner, we traveled to a pizza shop, although calling it that feels a little bit too diners, drive-ins, and dives, and this was more of like, a trattoria kind of vibes. You had your uh, huge pizza oven, you had wine, beer, all the good stuff. And let me tell you, this mushroom pizza, delicious. After restorative pizza and wine, it was time to make our way from Osaka to Kanazawa. In Kanazawa, we saw a huge statue, had ojicha tiramisu, which could have used a little bit more ojicha in the actual creamy part of the tiramisu. But nonetheless, it was highly worth the expense. And then we made our way to Shirakawa. Shirakawa is a UNESCO heritage site, but it is a lived-in village. So even though it looks absolutely Ghibli-esque, it's also a live-in village. So yeah, treat it respectfully and make sure to treat yourself to some pudding. It is absolutely life-changing, award-winning pudding. we treated ourselves to 3 puddings to share. This is the original flavor. No, I'm not gonna spoil it. Then we have the black sesame pudding, and my husband also chose the coffee pudding. So between these, my favorite was the original pudding flavor. It was just top notch. So delicious. I highly recommend.
Oh my god.
Having consumed delicious pudding, we continued our way exploring Shirakawa. We got to see one of the biggest houses. This is the Wada House, and it was the house of what later became the mayor of the town when Shirakawa was actually founded as a town. Just look at this beautiful rice paper. Shirakawa is truly very, very scenic, and we got to spend a lot of time here. I think we arrived at 11:30 p.m., and then the next bus that we were able to reserve that was leaving Shirakawa was at 3 p.m. So we spent a long, long time here. But it was beautiful. It was very calming, very soothing. The air breathing in that mountainous air was glorious. And of course, all this walking that we did had to lead to a second round of treats. Don't worry, we had lunch between treats. I just didn't film that. And for the second treat, I decided to have some pudding ice cream, and I cannot describe how absolutely glorious this ice cream was. Truly, truly, my words will never do it justice. After leaving Shirakawa and Kanazawa behind, we made a brief stop at Niigata, where Betsubara adventures continued with this lemon cream donut. It was delicious. Also, we tried the sake vending machines. So you trade money for coins, you insert your coins into the machine. They have about 107 sakes that you can try. And there's a little bit of a picture of their flavor profile and their dryness as well. They had some like cheese flavored ones, they had apple. Well, the flavor profile, it wasn't actually flavored. Unfortunately, I didn't like any of the ones I tried. After leaving Niigata, which if you just want to try the sake vending machines, they are at the train station where the Shinkansen drops you off. Anyway, after leaving Niigata, we made our way to Sendai. And in Sendai, we stayed at the Grand Bach Hotel. Up to now, this is the biggest room that we had during our stay, which was good because by this time we had accumulated um, quite a number of treats. Yes. Lunch was another pizza, and while this one was nothing to write home about, what we can write home about is the dessert location that I spotted walking away from the pizza place. Seriously, I just looked to the side and saw this beautiful display of truly, truly delicious treats. And while it was hard to choose, I do not regret whatever this was. I think it was a pistachio raspberry mousse, and it totally fueled our trip to Matsushima Bay. And now we are truly on our way to the north of Japan. We stopped at Morioka, where they had a very nice museum explaining a little bit about the city and some of its traditions. And they also had a float on display, and these floats that they use or carry, I should say, for the festivals are truly, truly humongous. Another train ride, and we have reached the northernmost point that we are visiting on this Japan trip, which is Aomori. And right off the Aomori train station, we have the two major places that we came to visit, which are the Nebuta Museum, and that is this red building on the right. And to the left, we have the A Factory. The Nebuta Museum Warase is a museum that introduces the history and charms of the Aomori Nebuta Festival. So this museum is it's very educational. I really enjoyed it because you have a lot of different facets to it. You have stations like this one where you can play around and create your own Nebuta face. Out of all the floats that are featured in the festival, they keep 4 to showcase in the museum, and these 4 are like real size. You saw those people walking by and how big the floats are compared to the people standing in front of them. After enriching our minds, we went to enrich our bodies by tasting cider at the A Factory. There were 6 ciders that you could taste, so of course we paid to taste them all. Out of all these 6, I actually only truly enjoyed 2. The A Factory is a lovely place where you can not only try cider, but you also can eat food here and sample various treats made from Aomori apples. And let me tell you, Aomori apples can be humongous and they just taste so, so good. In addition to its apples, Aomori is famous for its miso curry milk ramen. I thought it was fine, not life-changing, but I don't know if that has more to do with the place that we ate it at versus the ramen itself. After that dinner, it was time to head to the train station once again because we are headed for the last exciting parts of our trip, and that includes my favorite stop always in a Japan trip, which is an onsen, this time in Yamagata. As this was going to be a relatively long trip, I also decided to add a snack, and it turned out to be the most anemic peanut butter sandwich in all of existence. To be fair, at least it was cute.
Aseguradito, aseguradito.
After our anniversary, I really didn't film anything else in Japan, but I couldn't live with myself if I didn't include you in this little part of the journey. Now, this was our last full day in Japan, and we managed to get tickets for a Ghibli event that was going on. So this was an event space where they had set up a whole bunch of history of the Ghibli studios, as well as some gorgeous scenic recreations of the movies. And just like that, it is time to head back to the United States. Do you see how the sky is crying with me? Thank you so much for sharing the highlights of our Japan trip with us. And if you're wondering about the state of the knit sock, well, you're going to have to tune in for the monthly podcast for that one. And you can also look forward to a What Yarn Did I Buy in Japan type of vlog.